So we're looking at Wednesday, November the 3rd. Can you guys tell me what had happened up to this point according to your notes? Gentlemen, I'm recording now.
So far, it's like she's talking about like their living situation, sort of to me.
Copious and she are both very sick. They had to sell clothes.
Selling clothes. They're coming down to selling the last of their possessions just so they can have money, right? What brought in the most money? Gentlemen.
Miss Megan's fur coat, which sold for 325 florins. And it's made out of rabbit skin.
325. 3, 2, 5. They said it was a lot. I have no idea. How much was a florin? We looked that up at one time. $1.4. So 325 florins.
Can you find a conversion factor?
If you'd like to. Do you like my bunny? Oh, he's so cute. Did you see my bunny? Oh. Rabbit is dead. He's a coat.
Oh, it's messed up.
That's what the coat brought in. Oh, my bunny is so cute. We're going to do this. Dun, 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 dun.
Apparently it's actually $0.55896 US. So
Equals.
it was roughly $181, which, let's go to time conversion.
Paper out and a pencil. And at least I'm open to the right page. Full page. 114. It's gone 114. It's a joke. 113.
There we go. Van Dam sell a fur. Rabbit to coat equals 325. Right?
So it would equal to be over $3,000 today.
$3,000.
$3,158.96 would have been its worth in 2016.
$3,158.96. $0.96.
Because it would have been $181.64 in 1940.
Wow. How much in 1940?
181.64. That's a rough estimate because I can't do backwards conversion back to that date. So
In 1930s? Is that right?
40s.
40s? I don't know. Preference. Look at it. Look at the conversion of what that coat cost. That's fascinating. Thank you, Piper, for sharing that information. I'm going to keep this one up there because I think that's going to be good for the next class to see too. Van Dam sell a fur. So we have rabbits turned into a coat, turned into 325 florins, which would convert in 1940 into $181.64. Equal that to today. $3,158.96. That's crazy to see what it would convert to, isn't it? Okay? And that's what they had to do. They had to sell a fur in order to survive because they were out of money. All right? Let's go ahead and take a look at our entry here. We are on Friday, October 29th, or are we on Wednesday, November 3rd?
Wednesday, November.
Okay, that's what I needed to know. Thank you. Dear Kitty, in order to give us something to do, which was also educational, Daddy applied for a prospectus from the Teachers Institute of Ladine. Margot nosed through the thick book at least 3 times without finding anything to her liking or to suit her purpose. Daddy was quicker and wants a letter written to the Institute asking for a trial lesson in elementary Latin. To give me something new to begin as well, Daddy asked Copious for Children's Bible so that I could find out something about the New Testament at last. Do you want to give Anne a Bible for Hanukkah? Asked Margot. Somewhat perturbed, yes, or I think St. Nicholas Day is a better occasion. Answered Daddy. Jesus just doesn't go with Hanukkah. What is he saying there?
The Jews don't believe that Jesus Christ is already.
Jews believe. Jesus is
So what are we on? Which entry are we on again?
our Savior. For, you're looking at Jesus as our Savior for St. Nicholas Day, yes? I mean, what is it now? What is it called? What's St. Nicholas Day called today? Christmas. Which Christ is within Christmas, isn't it?
No point in doing this, you don't want to grade?
Okay. And then you have the Jew belief. I don't like how I put that in there. Hanukkah, Jesus is just a man. He was a good man. He was an extraordinary man. But he was not their Savior, right? So for Pim to order a Bible for Anne, how different was that? Mm-hmm. Okay. Bible is a story all about Christ, isn't it? And how to be more Christ-like in his life, especially in the New Testament. Yes? Okay. So you're looking at that, and Pim orders a Bible, all right, for the Hanukkah. All right, those are the difference. We're on page 114, we're on entry November 8th. Okay. Are we good? Dear Kitty, if you were to read my pile of letters one after another, you would certainly be struck by the many different moods in which they are written. It annoys me that I'm so dependent on the atmosphere here, but I'm certainly not the only one. We all find it the same. If I read a book that impresses me, I have to take myself firmly in the hand before I mix with other people. Otherwise, they would think my mind rather queer. At the moment, as you probably noticed, I'm going through a spell of being depressed. I really couldn't tell you why it is, but I believe it is just because I'm a coward, and that is what I keep bumping up against. This evening, while Ellie was still here, there was a long, loud, penetrating ring at the door. I turned white at once, got a tummy ache and heart palpitations, all from fear. At night, when I'm in bed, I see myself alone in a dungeon without Mommy and Daddy. Sometimes I wander by the roadside, or our secret annex is on fire, or they come and take us away at night. I see everything as if it is actually taking place, and this gives me the feeling that it may all happen to me very soon. Meep often says she envies us for possessing such tranquility here. That may be true, but she's not thinking about all of our fears. I simply cannot imagine the world will ever be normal for us again. I do talk about after war, but then it is only a castle in the air, something that will never really happen. If I think back to our old house, my girlfriends, the fun at school, it is just as if another person lived it all, not me. I see the 8 of us with our secret annex as if we were a little piece of blue heaven surrounded by heavy black rain clouds. The round, clear, defined spot where we stand is still safe, but the clouds gather more closely about us, and the circle which separates us from the approaching danger closes more and more tightly. Now we are so surrounded by danger and darkness that we bump against each other as we search desperately for a means of escape. We all look down below where people are fighting each other. We look above where it is still, where it is quiet and beautiful. And meanwhile, we are cut off by the great dark mass, which would not let us go upwards, but which stands before us as an impenetrable wall. It tries to crush us, but cannot do so yet. I can only cry and implore, oh, if only the black circle could recede and open the way for us. Yours, Anne. Thursday, November 11th, 1943. Dear Kitty, I have a good title for this chapter, Ode to My Fountain Pen, In Memoriam. This reminds me of you, Piper. My fountain pen has always been one of my most priceless possessions. I value it highly, especially for its thick nib, for I can only really write neatly with a thick nib. My fountain pen has had a very long and interesting pen life, which I will briefly tell you about. When I was 9, my fountain pen arrived in a packet, wrapped in cotton wool as a sample without value, all the way from McKeon, where my grandmother, who the kind owner, used to live. I was in bed with the flu while February winds howled around the house. The glorious fountain pen had a red leather case and was at once shown all around to all of my friends. I, Anne Frank, the proud owner of a fountain pen. When I was 10, I was allowed to take the pen to school, and the mistress went so far as to permit me to write with it. When I was 11, however, my treasure had to be put away again, because the mistress in the 6th form only allowed us to use school pens and ink pots. When I was 12, I went to the Jewish Lyceum. My fountain pen received a new case in honor of the great occasion. It could take a pencil as well, and as it closed with a zipper, looked much more impressive. At 13, the fountain pen came with us to the secret annex, where it has raced through countless diaries and compositions for me. Now I am 14. We have spent our last year together. It was on Friday afternoon after 5 o'clock. I had come out of my room and wanted to go sit at the table to write, when I was roughly pushed on one side and had to make room for Margot and Daddy, who wanted to practice their Latin. The fountain pen remained on the table unused, while, with a sigh, its owner contented herself with a tiny little corner in the table and started rubbing beans. Bean rubbing is making moldy beans decent again. I swept the floor at a 5:45 and threw the dirt, together with the bad beans, into newspaper and into the stove. A terrific flame leaped out, and I thought it was grand that the fire should burn up so well when it was practically out. All was quiet again. The Latinites had finished, and I went and sat the table to clear up my writing things. But look as I might, my fountain pen was nowhere to be seen. I looked again. Margot looked, but there was not a trace of the thing. Perhaps it fell into the stove together with the beans, Margot suggested. Oh, no, of course not, I answered. Where my fountain pen didn't turn up that evening, however, we all took it that it had been burned, all the more as celluloid is terribly inflammable. And so it was. Our unhappy fears were confirmed when Daddy did the stove. The following morning, the clip used for fastening was found among the ashes. Not a trace of the gold nib was found. Must have melted and stuck to some stone or another. Daddy thought, I have one consolation. Although a slender one, my fountain pen had been cremated. Just what I want later. Here's Anne. That's so sad. That breaks my heart for her. Tuesday, November 17th, 1943. And do I have time for this? Yes. Do I? Yes, I do. Dear Kitty. Huh?
We get on at 10:34.
10:34, yeah. Dear Kitty, shattering things are happening. Diphtheria reigns in Ellie's home, so she is not allowed to come into contact with us for 6 weeks. It makes it very awkward over food and shopping, not to mention missing her companionship. Cofius is still in bed and has nothing but porridge and milk for 3 weeks. Crawler is frantically busy. The Latin lessons Margot sends in are corrected by a teacher and returned. Margot writing in Ellie's name. The teacher is very nice and witty too. I expect he is glad to have such a clever pupil. Dussel is very put out. None of us knows why. It began with his keeping his mouth closed upstairs, and he didn't utter a word to either Mr. or Mrs. Van Daan. Everyone was struck by it, and when it lasted a couple of days, And when it lasted a couple of days, Mommy took the opportunity of warning him about Mrs. Van Daan, who, if he went on like this, could make things very disagreeable for him. Dussel said that Mr. Van Daan started the silence, so he was not going to be the one to break it. Now, I must tell you that yesterday was the 16th of November, the day he had been exactly 1 year in the secret annex. Mommy received a plant in honor of the occasion, but Mrs. Van Daan, who had for weeks beforehand had made no bones about the fact that she thought Dussel should treat us with something, received nothing. Instead of expressing for the first time his thanks for our unselfishness in taking him in, he didn't say a word, and when I asked him on the morning of the 16th whether I should congratulate or condole, he answered that it didn't matter to him. Mommy, who wanted to act as peacemaker, didn't get one step further, and finally, the situation remained as it was. Der man bei ihnen großen geht, I don't know how to say that, dies, whatever, yours end. It means the spirit of the man is great. How puny are his deeds. That's what it means. Just so you know, okay? We are going to be on Saturday, November 27th, 1943, tomorrow. How is it going with your sketchnoting?
How's it what?
Is your sketchnoting coming along?
Yes.
What do you think about it?
It's good.